Staying on the outside of the grocery store aisles not only is healthy for you, but it will cut down on you buying those impulse things that you see when you're walking up and down the aisles. Hi, and welcome to Beyond the Paycheck. I'm Paula Christine. So I don't know, it's about maybe the last quarter of last year, I had to sit down and try to refigure out how much I was spending on groceries. I kind of got a little out of control, not necessarily on the grocery part of it, but on the dining out and carryouts. You know, being a single person, it sucks really to cook for yourself. So, you know, it's much more enjoyable just to swing by and pick something up on your way home from work. But I had to change that because I was just realizing that I was not wasting as much because the food was always good, but just spending too much time on dining out and groceries. And it wasn't in my budget because I had so much allocated for my grocery and dining out, and it was becoming very, very expensive. So I had to sit down and regroup. And so I thought, well, if I'm having this problem, I'm sure there's a lot of other people that are experiencing the same thing. You know, I was just talking to my mom yesterday, and she was talking about how expensive it is for her to go to the grocery store. And she was telling me that she was paying, $20 for this service once a month. And I'm like, well, Mom, you really don't need that service. It had nothing to do with groceries, but I'm like, Mom, you really don't really need that service. But if you think about that $20, if you cancel that service, that's likely to buy you a couple days worth of groceries, or even just the way my mom eats, she's like a bird. So it could buy her one meal and she could probably eat that over a couple days. Cause I actually do that myself. Portions are so large at the restaurants today that you can ideally order one meal and eat it the second day. So you get like 2 for 1. So I have her now looking at that because I had to look at that and I had to understand, where my groceries was going. And one of the other things that I found too, when I was spending so much money on dining out, that my girlfriends would call and say, hey, let's go to such and such restaurant. It's new, it's trendy. Let's go try it out, see what it's all about. And I wouldn't check the menu before I left. And I've had some sticker shock, let me tell you. I mean, this one restaurant we went to in the Detroit area, I'll leave the name out, but it was one of those where you, like a 5-course meal, and it's, pretty much set what you're going to get. Didn't realize when I got there that 5-course meal was going to cost me $175 just for the meal, and not including the tip, or even if I wanted to have a cocktail or two at dinner, it was likely going to be well over $250 for that meal, which that was like my grocery and dining out budget for probably 2 weeks. I mean, that was just really, really expensive. And it was one of those restaurants too, where you get the portion size. It's like this big. And, honestly, after we were done eating, we had to go to another restaurant and eat so that we could fill our bellies. Anyway, but I learned from that too, when they asked me, hey, Paula, let's go out to eat. I'll say, well, where are we going? And then I'll go and check the menu to see if I believe that the menu is in my price range, because I don't want to get stuck like that again. It's embarrassing because you're not going to walk out of the restaurant. You're going to pay it. And, likely if it's out of your budget and you have to pay it and you put it on your credit card and, maybe you don't have the money to pay it off at the end of the month. Maybe you have to take, 2 months to pay that off, or 3, because you weren't anticipating a cost like that. And now you're paying interest on that dinner that, let me tell you, wasn't very good at all anyway. But I definitely wouldn't have to want to have paid even more by having to pay interest. So that's one of the tips that I talk about in this webinar that I just did. It's a free webinar called How to Budget for Groceries. And that's one of the tips we talk about, is when you are dining out, is to kind of check the menu to see what the cost is going to be before you go to the restaurant. Another tip on dining out too is looking at appetizers. Sometimes an appetizer is sufficient to fill you up. And if you're with, 3 or 4 friends, maybe you each order an appetizer and you share, and then that really cuts the cost down for dining out. Additionally, going to happy hour. I mean, one of my favorite places to go to happy hours, I don't know if everybody has them in their area, Seasons 52. you can get a flatbread pizza, which is about this big, probably about that big, and a glass of wine for $12. I mean, where can you eat with a glass of wine for $12? And it's pretty filling, that flatbread pizza. So it is one of my favorite places to go to eat. So again, check out the menu before you go. Maybe consider sharing the appetizers as your meal instead of buying a full meal. And if you're going to buy a full meal, maybe make sure that it's one of those meals that you can take half home and eat for dinner or lunch the next day. So you get a twofer. Now, what else can we talk about? In that webinar, we talk about online shopping. So I went to online shopping when COVID hit, and I hate even talking about COVID, but it worked for me to go to online shopping where I would just pick up, or I would order everything online and then pick it up. That has saved me a ton of money. And the reasons why is because I shop at Kroger. So I go on Kroger's website and I pick out what I need. And if I say my budget for the week is $100 for groceries, then I can keep a running tally of what those groceries are as I'm putting them into my cart. And then I can look to say, well, I'm at $150. What do I want to put back? Or what can I go into my budget that I might have to cut out that week just so that I could buy what I needed? That has been huge for me. One, I hate grocery shopping. I just hate it. And two, I hate being my own cashier. I don't want to be a cashier for a living. Not saying anything about being a cashier, but I think they should actually hire a cashier to check us out. I'm used to that kind of service, and I would prefer that we would go back, but that's not, I'll get off my soapbox on that one. But then I don't have to cash out my own groceries and bag them myself. You know, everything's done for me, and I just pull up, make a little phone call, and they deliver everything out. And when I'm online shopping, I can look in my pantry and see what I have, or my refrigerator, so that I'm not going to the grocery store wondering, hey, do I need eggs? Well, I already know I can just look at my refrigerator and see if I need eggs. Or if I'm meal prepping, which is another great way to save money, I can have the list of all the items that I need, which I then can compare to my pantry and my refrigerator, so I'm not buying duplicates. Because I used to do that all the time. Like, I would go to the grocery store and thought I needed green peppers, let's say, buy green peppers, to find out I still haven't used the green peppers that I bought last week. And so I now have so many green peppers, I don't know what to do with them. So there's a lot of things that you can do when you're online shopping. And you can also, as you're online shopping, look for coupons with that in the store or what's on sale. And then you can go to some of those websites that, I'm drawing a blank, but there's a bunch of coupon websites that you could go to and download those coupons and then take them with you to the grocery store. And when you're doing your pickup, the girl that comes out or guy that comes out to deliver your groceries can take those right off the bill. So online shopping, you get to stay within your budget. You get to buy just what you need because you get to be able to check your pantry and refrigerator. You can use in-store coupons, and then you can just go and get coupons too from some of the other websites. In my webinar, it actually talks about some of those coupon websites that you can go to. I have no idea why I'm drawing a blank, but I am. And so you will check out the webinar and you can get those. Now, what else do we do? Oh, I think one of the best ways to do your grocery shopping, if you're going to go into the store, is, well, I'm going to talk about two ways. So the first best way is to carry a calculator with you. Now, I raised 5 children, and it was, to feed 5 children is very, very expensive. And we only had so much money for grocery shopping. And I used to have to take a calculator with me and go through the calculator or add everything up as I was going through the grocery store. And when I got to a certain point, I knew that I was done. If I wasn't done with all the items that I needed, I had to go back through and decide which items were getting put back. And, those usually are the chips and cookies and all that fun stuff to eat, which is actually not healthy for you. We all know that. But that all had to go back to buy the things that we truly needed. So always carry a calculator with you. And guess what? You have one on your phone, so you don't even have to carry it. you have one on your phone that you can automatically just pull it out and keep track of what you're spending at the grocery store, so there's no surprises at the checkout. Now, the other thing that I think is great for not only your waistline is shopping the outside aisles of a grocery store. That is huge. So if you think about when you walk into a grocery store, typically you're walking into the produce section. So vegetables and stuff, fruit are very healthy for you. And then if you walk around the outside, then it's usually to the dairy and the meat. Again, healthy stuff for you. And then come around to the cash register. Avoiding the aisles that are the temptation. Like, it's so hard to walk down the chip aisle and not grab some, nacho cheese Doritos or maybe some Lay's potato chips. And if you're going to buy the Lay's potato chips, then you have to go buy the chip dip. And then before you know it, you get home, you sit down with that bag of Doritos and you completely eat half of it. And then you eat the other half. And well, we know how that goes. So anyway, staying on the outside of the grocery store aisles not only is healthy for you, but it will cut down on you buying those impulse things that you see when you're walking up and down the aisles. Another tip, and then I'm going to let you go, is don't take your kids or maybe that significant other with you if they can't stay to the list that you're coming with and stay within the budget. So can you imagine taking 5 kids to the grocery store? How many times I heard, "Mom, can I have this? Mom, can I have that? Mom, 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 mom." All the time going through the grocery store. And I always had to keep saying, no, 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 no. So that was stressful for me, stressful for them. Sometimes you wanted to yell and scream at them because you just wanted them to stop asking. Not only that, those little stinkers would sometimes put things in the cart that you didn't even know were in the cart until you got to the checkout counter. So just avoid taking them to the store. It's nice to get away from your kids sometimes. What a perfect place to go to the grocery store, because honestly, they don't want to go either. And do that with your significant other. I know that when I was married, my husband at the time made my grocery bill a lot bigger when he went with me because he had some things that I normally wouldn't pick up that he wanted. So that added to the cost of groceries. So that's it for I'm going to talk today about how to budget for groceries and just some of the tips that you can learn in my webinar. And it's a free webinar on how to budget for groceries. And we will put the link in the show notes for you. But if you can't wait for that, you can just go to paulachristine.com and download that free webinar and get started on, first, looking at how much you're spending and how to budget. And then second, there's 21 tips in there about how to save money at the grocery store. And if you have a tip that you'd like to share with me, I really would appreciate it. You can send that to paula@paulachristine.com. Thanks, and we'll talk again soon.